Okay, I'm gonna record a video. This is the second attempt. The first attempts are always so crappy. So I'm gonna just share very simplified version of what I think is needed to use Notion for a small business and how to get started and just use it as a centralized dashboard. These are my private settings, okay? But in a team, you would normally have is Mark's Notion, okay, team space, and you have basic information of where to go. Okay, you can start there, but it's even easier than this. Okay, you just start, you can start a tracker, okay, an empty page. Okay, I'm just gonna start. The key thing of this is two key things. Is this if you had an editable web page that you can put any sub web pages that you want in a very easy to find and super good search functionality. Okay, really good search functionality when you compare to other things. And then the key concept is, okay, for example, team, team a team, whatever, you know what I mean? This is the main page. And what do we do? Mission, okay? And for example, you're like, hey, let me do that. Let me call in the mission, okay? Which is our mission? Which is our mission? And then we are here, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. We are here to roll up. Then the key thing is that you have a lot of functionality like a page, okay? Very, very important to use. You have all this functionality that appears, okay? You can add videos on it. You're like, well, this is not so different. Yes, because it's kind of a mix between Google Sheets, between um, Google Docs, between not PowerPoint, now it doesn't read that, but made easier, where everybody can find things really easily compared to other environments. And here you create heading, okay, main projects, for example. We're just going to create this. I'm going to put heading, okay, heading one. Well, I'm going to put heading, yeah, heading one. Okay, important. The headings just it helps a lot in the how the document structures what is important or not. Team projects, okay? Team projects, what are we trying to accomplish? And then page one, you can create a page, okay? Or you can say, no, I want to have all the information in one page and then I'll break it down. Okay. A shortcut is the heading, okay? Toggles. I'm gonna do a heading toggling toggle heading to finance. Okay. Second one is for example. Let me do finance. Let me do environmental impact, for example. Okay. Toggle heading to, or you can do a to-do list. You see, you have a lot of functionality that's actually really helpful. Okay. Sorry, toggle heading. There's shortcuts, but for whatever reason, my brain is not processing them today. Environmental impact. So, impact. And then the interesting thing about this, remember, is that any block, it operates by two concepts, like kind of the pages and blocks. So those are the main ones, okay? And then you can have a third one. The beauty of the toggling is it just so effective to put condense a bunch of information and then have the breakdowns, you know what I mean? Here I'm putting just random text, you know what I mean? Helps. And then here you can have a page. You can say, no, I'm deep diving here, deep dive on financials. And then you say afterward, I want to find this. Okay, deep dive on financials. Financials and brief. Okay, I'm just making this up because it's a term I for sure haven't written. Okay, and we're gonna then try to find it. Okay, I'm going here. Okay, I've written this, and then I'm gonna do brief. Okay, finds it immediately. It really does a really good job here. Okay, and then for example, here you're saying, and this is the interesting part, you can have tables, okay? And table, you can have the general view, okay? You can see that there's a bunch of different views, but we start by the table, which is the core concept. Let's say it's pages, blocks, okay, of text, and then tables that you can to convert into a database. You can say column A, let's say in the financial deep dive financials brief, you have projects, sub projects, okay, from the other projects, sub projects, deadline, deadlines. And then you're like, this is not that fast. Obviously, this is where you could ask. And once you're paying the team subscription, you will be able to ask the AI, hey, can you build it like this? And it can do it. It can start a bunch. The only thing is that you'll have a lot of work. If you're not building a really complicated one, I don't think it's worth it. Okay. Very important that you mark here what is the header. Okay. Header row for visual purposes and for you'll see then afterwards when you convert it here to a database. Why a database? Turn into a database because database is what has really the interesting. Okay, so project A, I'm just going to do really fast. Okay, so project B, some projects through C. Okay. And then you have deadlines here. I change it to this types. Okay. You need to be choosing types, and this requires some learning curve, but it's very valuable. Okay. Let's say the deadline is the 17th, deadline is the 9th. And then I'll add a third variable, just to, for purpose of. Then interesting also, remember, every sub project you can go in, you have a new page to then create all the details, whatever you want to be putting in the columns or the details that you actually want to have in more detail. Okay, and here, for example, you might say, hey, what is the, the select, multi-select? This is basically choosing variables, and I choosing not using the right term. I'm really tired. Okay, files, whatever you want to add, links, and then, for example, you're saying, I'm going to put number. Where's the number? Number. More formula you can do. I mean, you can do a bunch of stuff. Okay. No, my brain is fried. Number. Oh my God. Okay. Imagine you say the financial impact of this, 100, and you'll be able to apply some formula saying, hey, classify this and that. Generally, you don't even need to use this. What is this? What is interesting about this is the layout. Okay. I'm just going to simplify now. But when you have 30 columns here, you're like, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure which project is interesting. You go here, layout, and you start choosing different layouts. Some people prefer the board layout, saying, hey, what do I have here? I'm just going to change it. It's actually, hey, we discussed, it's in progress, we move it. Okay, this is the typical thing that a lot of tools have. Okay, then the layout that I like quite a bit is the timeline. Okay, project timeline. You say, hey, this is when, and actually get here, you change it to a more of a perspective of, say, this is going to happen. And then the beauty is you can click inside, okay, and you can connect, okay. Hey, how does this overlap with this? There's a bunch of functionality, okay, that you cannot find in Google Sheets for sure. And then you say, hey, inside, for example, here you say, hey, add, you can tag anyone in the team, okay. And you just said, when are you? I'm going to take it out, okay. When you're paying, this is part of the functionality. When you pay, you're not paying. There's limitations. You can have a group without paying, but it's limited, okay. When you can. Take a look, okay? Or you can put a comment, okay, saying financial investments. And this is similar to other tools. To be frank, this part is not that exceptional. Okay, you put a comment and say, add Giuseppe, I'm doing the same, okay? Remember to blah, blah, blah. Try to do it. Okay, you press click. So just in terms of that, you can see a bunch of functionality, okay, that happens related to this. And eventually when you load more and more information, you can also connect it to your calendar, okay, through this. All this functionality I'm using now is because I'm using it individually and only with guests, okay, not with team members. And for free. It's for free and it connects to your Google to your calendar, Notion calendar. It works really well with different accounts. You can set up I think almost Outlook accounts, Gmail accounts, and all this. So this is a little bit of functionality. I would just get started by yourself and see how it works for you, and then and see, hey, I'm going to collaborate with one or two team members. We use the guest option if it works, because I think it really becomes your centralized database. Okay, hope this was helpful. It's just